செய்யும் கணபதி வணக்கம் என்றும் துணையாகும் கணபதி வணக்கம்.
Wow, 50 years of the Siva Gnana Sabay being in existence and 31 years of this beautiful landmark temple in Lenasia. I, for one, am so proud to call this my home, and I'm sure that I share that sentiment with many of the members here today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have prepared a program to entertain you today, so I ask you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the performances of the talented artists and eloquent speakers that we have today. To start off, we are going to have the opening prayer and the national anthem, which will be rendered by the members, and we are led in prayer by our most loved, respected, and revered father of the Siva Gnana Sabay, our spiritual head. Can you please all rise as we do the prayer?
நன்றி. எல்லாரும் அமருங்கள்.
Prayer that we sang earlier when we started this event. This is an invocatory dance performed in salutation to Lord Shiva, he who has the crescent moon and the Ganges flowing from his locks, whose splendor is immeasurable and who dances in the cosmos. Let us praise and pray at his flower-like feet adorned with anklets. This Nataraja Anjali is set in Ragam Nate, Talam Adi, and will be performed by the students of the Thrice School of Dance, Dashanya Naidu, Tameshni Allen, and Nikosha Chetty.
ஈசனடி போற்றி எந்தை அடி போற்றி நேசனடி போற்றி சிவன் சேவடி போற்றி நேயத்தே நின்ற நிமலனடி போற்றி மாயப் பிறப்பறுக்கும் அடி போற்றி ஈசனடி போற்றி அடி போற்றி 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 dum 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 dim 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 dum 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 dim 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 dum 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 dim 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 dum dum kinnam dittik kinnam kena kena dum tatodagatam dum 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 dim 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 dum dum kinnam dittik kinnam kena kena dum tatodagatam dum 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 dim 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 dum dum kinnam dittik kinnam kena kena dum tatodagatam dum 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 dim 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 kita kita taki kita kita taki kita kita taki kena kena dum kita kita taki kita kita taki dum kita kita taki kena kena dum kita kita taki kita kita taki kita kita taki kena kena dum kita kita taki kita kita taki dum kita kita taki kena kena dum kena kena nagatum kena 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 nagatum jai kinangutum kinangutum kena kinangutum kinangutum kena kena nagitum kena 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 nagitum jai kinangutum kinangutum kena kinangutum kinangutum 50 years of beautiful memories. And that will be done by Thiru Somasundram Maripillai. Thiru Somasundram Maripillai was amongst the founding members of the Siva Gnana Sabay. This sprightly young man has been the backbone and inspiration of most of what you see and a lot of what you may or may not know about the organization.
நன்றி. பெரியவர்களே, தாய்மார்களே, சகோதர சகோதரிகளே, தங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் என் உள்ளங்கனிந்த அன்பு வணக்கத்தை செலுத்துகின்றேன். வணக்கம். 50 ஆண்டுகள், இந்த 50 ஆண்டுகளுக்கு எவ்வளோ துன்பம் இன்பம் எல்லாம் சேர்ந்து ஒரு சமுதாயத்தை நாம் உருவாக்கினால் அந்த சமுதாயத்துக்கு நாம் சேவை செய்ய வேண்டும். அலட்டி நாம் செய்த நன்மைகள் வராது. It is with deep conviction and with a sense of responsibility that the Siva Gnana Sabay, founded by a group of women, and it is said that behind every man there's a successful woman, and I would say behind every woman there's a successful man. So we also need some credit. It hasn't been easy, and yet when I think that 50 years have passed, I was 36, I wasn't the first choice as the head of this organization. Mr. Veladam Chetty, who was a senior person, well versed in Tamil and well respected throughout South Africa. And when I think of the many people that have come, that have lent themselves to the development of this organization for the sake of our people as a whole. When the philosophy of Ondre Kulam, Oruvandevan Anbe Sivam was written in steel, it is this philosophy that comes from way back, very, very far away. And when you think of our ancestors who thought of humanity as one, God is one, and God is love. If we can remember that and serve our fellow being regardless of race, color, creed, religion, it is only then that we are successful in what we do. God has been kind to us. Mrs. Padiyachi, who was the chair lady of the Mother Sangam that started the organization, would always say to me, Thambi, namakkundu oru kovil irundha நம்ம நிம்மதியாக கடவுளை வணங்கலாம். The reason for that was that we used various venues, and one such venue, there was a rumor that we had gone into this temple, covered the other deities and worshipped Shiva alone. Now I ask you, if you believe that, could you possibly have an open temple with doors standing wide open, the temple belonging to the people of Lenasia, and would you then dare to cover the murtis? But that is the way of life. Unfortunately, that was the sad part of this organization. But nevertheless, she then said to me, Thambi, நம்ம வேறு எங்கேயாவது போய் கடவுளை கும்பிடலாம். That's how we landed up in one of the schools, and on a Sunday morning we would have for all the years until we built the temple, 8:30 temple prayer will start. There was another lady by the name of Auntie Ruka, as you called her. Her daughter is here, and one morning we found ourselves, the two of us alone. Where the other members went, and there were a few at that point in time, She said, now what are we going to do? And I said, Auntie Ruku, don't worry. At 8:30 we'll start. But there's only 2 of us. I said, no, we're not 2. We are 63 Saiva saints of the Tevaram, Manika Vaskar of the Tiruvasagam, Ramalinga Swami, and the 2 of us make 67. So perseverance is the key to success. One has to preserve. One has to have a conviction in what we do. And God will definitely help us. When we built the temple and the outhouse, some of our members, a lot of them are here. People like Virgil said to me, now what are we going to do? I said, don't worry. Virgil, Kola, Guna, and many others, James, comrades, just a few to mention. And I said, don't worry. Let us just go out to the people of Lenasia, regardless, and they will help us. In those days, 31 years ago, 50 rand will buy a whole trolley full of grocery. And earlier, for the 16 years that we did not have a temple in this area to do what Mrs. Pariyachi wanted to do, unfortunately, she passed away before the temple was built. But to her memory stands this temple, and also to the memory of our Sivaram Bhatta, who had vision. So whatever we do, there must be vision. There must be a conviction. There must be something to say, I will do it. And to him, lots of credit goes, because a better venue, I wouldn't say it's better in the sense spiritually, a venue of this nature in the center of Lenasia was commendable, because no sooner we built the temple, it became a landmark of Lenasia. So you can see the achievements and also the whole idea of wanting to do something for the people. This temple does not belong to the Tamil people alone. It belongs to all the people, regardless. And it is this conviction to build something that will reach out to all people regardless. I can't say enough about that. I don't want to take much of your time, and as you can see, that Mari just spoke all the time, and now I'm hungry and the lunch is not ready yet. I don't know why does he go blah, blah. But you see the slides there, and those are the convictions. The best thing we did, the best, and I strongly believe when you reach out to a child, you will definitely reach out to the future. The best thing Siva Gnana Sabay did is to establish the nursery school. To this day, for 24 years, 50%, 90% of the children that come to our nursery school are from other communities, and only 10% from the Tamil community. But again, our conviction, Ondre Kulam, Orone Devan, Anvesyam, when you reach out to a child, when you develop a child, you develop a nation. And that is what we need to do in this country. When the state cannot find enough money to educate its children, then it will surely die. Then it will not have the kind of conviction that it should have, because we find too much money spent on trivials rather than developing a child to the best of his ability. And by so doing, you will definitely create a better way of life and a greater nation. One other thing, I'm speaking out loud, and maybe the organization might ask me tomorrow, why did I say this? And I will say this regardless. This center must now reach out further to the children. I would like to see this hall turned into a cultural center for all children, whereby a little theater for children a children's theater in the heart of Lenasia, where all the children can come, regardless, and to create a one nation, many cultures, and for this culture to be developed so that we can again reach out to the rest of the community as a whole. The other thing is that nobody ever received, the first 200 rands that we received to build the temple, for instance, came from a person, a neighbor, and one morning he gets up and he comes to the house and he says, Maria, how you want to build a temple? And he was a Muslim person. I want to give you this donation of 200 rand. He was a Muslim. But it wasn't the kind of Muslim or the kind of Hindu or the kind of Tamil. It was a universal thinking that went into his head. If we all live in harmony and love and peace, we all respected our different religious persuasions. What is religion? Religion is only a stepping stone to spirituality. And it is in this that when we reach out to other people, our spirituality grows greater. And it's then that God, in many ways, reaches out into us. Where is God? கடவுள் நம் உள்ளத்திலே இருக்கின்றார். அதை மறக்காமல் தமிழன் வாழ்ந்தான். இன்றைக்கும் வாழ்ந்தான், அன்னைக்கும் வாழ்ந்தான். It is when the Tamil person realized that கடவுள், the word கடவுள் in itself says, He who is within us. So the language has always reached out to humanity as a whole. When we lose our humanity, it is then that we destroy ourselves in the process. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was 50 years of history shared with you from heart and from experience. No one else can do such a good job. Let's give Guru another round of applause. Viren, that was a very important part of history that you've just captured there. Before we move on to the next item, we would like to acknowledge some of the members of the Saby who have worked ardently towards this organization. We're going to do this throughout the program, and if we do forget someone, please note that it is not deliberate, and we upfront give you our apologies. We would like to acknowledge the Patha family through the kind generosity of Thiru Sasi Patha and family, who had kindly donated the land to the Siva Gnana Sabay around 33 years ago. With this vision of the members led by Tirumari Pillai and then the then chairperson, Thiru Gwensam Naidu, the building committee led by Thiru Sani Mudli, Thiru San Pillai, and the late Thiru Siva Mudli, as well as Thiru Villa Pillai and other members of this temple, the structure became a reality. Today, we can celebrate this milestone achievement of the 31-year celebration of the Seven Coil and Ayanar Temple. Thank you. Our next item is a Bharatanatyam rendition by the ever-popular Sarva Vidya Natya Alaya, a non-profit dance organization based in Gauteng and was co-founded by Anusha Pillai, Reshma Chiba, and Panna Bagan in 2010. The founders of the organization were tutored by Srimati Satyabama Kollapen, who is also very well known in South Africa. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge Anusha for her ever-willing contribution to the Saby. And it is even prior to the SVN being founded that Anusha always lent her support to the organization. Thank you, Anusha. We now have a Jatiswaram, Ragam, Chakravagam, Talam, Rubagam. The musical composition of a Jatiswaram, a dance of pure rhythm, sets the geometric footwork to a series of rhythmic and melodious verses, allowing the dancer to display the dexterity of their technique, making this piece a visual and musical feast. Jatiswaram.
தடிக்கட தகதை தஜ்ஜம் தஜ்ஜம் தத்தித்தக நகஜம் தடிக்கட தக தக தித்தக நகஜம் தடிக்கட தக ததிங்கின்னா துதிங்கின்னா துதிங்கின்னா
Sari ga ma pa ni
musicians, who has waited quite a while now. Richard Naika and Party. The young Richard Naika began his singing career at the tender age of 6. This self-taught youngster only went for formal lessons in the later years of his life. In 2003, he went to Carnatic and versatile musician Harry Arunachalam for music lessons. In 1973, he joined the band Young India based in Durban. From 1977, he played for the Eastern Caprinos until they established Richard Naika and Party, and that was established in 2010. He is the lead vocalist and the leader of the band. Sunny Pillay is on percussion. He played for the Alcanos band and Eastern Caprinos and a few groups before that. We have Ganson Nair on keyboard and harmonium. He hails from the Padma group and other groups before that. He also played for the Ranjini Orchestra in Durban and Johannesburg. Ladies and gentlemen, I hand you over to Richard Naika and Party.
The first song that I want to sing to you is Lord Vinayaga, in invocation to Lord Vinayaga, Navashakti Vinayagane. பெரியவர்களே, தாய்மார்களே, தந்தைமார்களே, குழந்தைகளே, உங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் என் உள்ளம் கடிந்த வணக்கம். இப்பொழுது நான் முதல் பாட்டை விநாயகி பாடப் போகின்றேன். நவசக்தி விநாயகனே. நவசக்தி விநாயகனே, நவசக்தி விநாயகனே வணக்கம். நன்மைகள் பெருகிடச்சி ஏமக்கும் நவசக்தி விநாயகனே வணக்கம். நன்மைகள் பெருகிடச்சி ஏமக்கும் நவசக்தி விநாயகனே வணக்கம். நன்மைகள் we're going to sing Kollapen to you. படைக்கலமாகும் நாமத்தெழுத்து அன்பின் நாவிற்கொண்டே இடைக்கலம் இல்லை விருப்பம் உனக்கு ஆட்சிகின்றேன் துணைக்கிடம் போகே தொழுது வணங்கிட்டு நீரணிந்து உன்னடைக்கலம் கண்டார் அடித்தில்லை சிற்றம்பலத்தரே. கலைக்கோயில் கடராஜ பெருமானே ஒரு கால் தூக்கி நடமாடும் இறையோனே. கலைக்கோயில் கடராஜ பெருமானே ஒரு கால் தூக்கி நடமாடும் இறையோனே. சிலைமேனி சிவகாமி பொண்டாலை கூடைக்கு உன் வீடு உன் புகழ் பாடும் இலங்கை எங்கள் ஏது. பொண்டாலை கூடைக்கு உன் வீடு உன் புகழ் பாடும் இலங்கை எங்கள் ஏது. பின்னாக வெளியாக வெளியாக அமைந்தாயே தங்கள் பில்வ மலர் மாறுதல் அணிந்தாயே நீ கலைக்கோயில் கடராஜ பெருமானே. நான்காக வாசல்களை அமைத்தானே அன்று நாள் வருமெவோ ஒன்றில் நுழைந்தானே. நான்காக வாசல்களை அமைத்தானே அன்று நாள் வருமெவோ ஒன்றில் நுழைந்தானே. தேன்பாயும் தேவாரும் இசைத்தானே தேன்பாயும் தேவாரும் இசைத்தானே. மலர் திருவடியில் காணிகையாய் படைத்தாரே இல்லை கலைக்கோயில் கடராஜ பெருமானே. நன்றெடுக்கு திருக்காட்சி அணிந்த நிலம் இது நல்ல பல அருளாளர்கள் பணிந்த தரம். நன்றெடுக்கு திருக்காட்சி அணிந்த நிலம் இது நல்ல பல அருளாளர்கள் பணிந்த தரம். தொண்டருக்கும் புகழ் பாடல் உருவானது தொண்டருக்கும் புகழ் பாடல் உருவானது அது தூய மதி அண்ணன் வாழ வைப்பான் என்று அமைதி கொண்டார். கலைந்திடும் கனவுகள் அவள் படைத்தான், கற்பனை தேனில் பறந்து சென்றார். மலர்களை போல் தங்கி உறங்குகிறார் அண்ணன் வாழ வைப்பார் என்று அமைதி கொண்டார். கலைந்திடும் கனவுகள் அவள் படைத்தான், கற்பனை தேரில் பறந்து சென்றார். அலைந்திடும் கனவுகள் அவள் படைத்தார் அண்ணன் கற்பனை தேரில் பறந்து சென்றார். மாமணி மாளிகை மாதர்கள் புன்னகை மங்கள வேளையில் பொன்வண்ணம் கண்டார். மாமணி மாளிகை மாதர்கள் புன்னகை மங்கள வேளையில் பொன்வண்ணம் கண்டார். மாவிலை போரலும் ஆடினை கண்டார், மாவிலை தோரணம் ஆடினை கண்டார். மணமகள் வந்து நின்று மாலை சூடு கண்டார். கலைந்திடும் கனவுகள் அவள் படைத்தார் அண்ணன் கற்பனை தேரில் பறந்து சென்றார். ஆசையின் பாதையில் ஓடிய உண்மையில் அன்புடன் கால்களில் பணிந்திட கண்டார். ஆசையின் பாதையில் ஓடிய பெண்மையில் அன்புடன் கால்களில் பணிந்திட கண்டார். வாழிய கண்மணி வாழிய என்றான், வாழிய கண்மணி வாழிய என்றான். வான்மழை போல் கண்கள் நீரில் ஆடுகின்றார். அலைந்திடும் கனவுகள் அவள் படைத்தாள் அண்ணன் கற்பனை தேரில் பறந்து சென்றார். பூமணம் கொண்டவள் பால் மனம் கண்டார். உங்கிடம் தாய்மையில் சேயுடன் நின்றார். பூமணம் கொண்டவள் பால் மனம் கண்டார். உங்கிடம் தாய்மையில் சேயுடன் நின்றார். மாமனை பாரடி கண்மணி என்றார். தங்கி உறங்குகிறார் அண்ணன் வாழவில்வார் என்று அமைதி கொண்டார் கலைந்திடும் கனவுகள் அவள் படைத்தாள் கற்பனை தேடி பறந்து சென்றார் கலைந்திடும் கனவுகள் அவள் படைத்தார் அண்ணன் கற்பனை தேடி பறந்து சென்றார் பறந்து சென்றார் பறந்து சென்றார் பறந்து சென்றார். மிக்க நன்றி. மல்லிகை முல்லை புன்மொழி கிள்ளை அன்பர்கோர் இல்லை உன்னை போர் இல்லை உன்வன்னரதம் ஏறி இம்மண்ணில் எங்கும் ஓடி உன்வன்னரதம் ஏறி இம்மண்ணில் எங்கும் ஓடி நல்லன்பு துணை தேடி நான் மல்லிகை முல்லை பொன்மொழி அன்பர்கோர் இல்லை உன்னை போர் இல்லை உன்வன்னரதம் ஏறி இம்மண்ணில் எங்கும் ஓடி உன்வன்னரதம் சொந்தம் மாமன் என்று சொல்ல ஒரு அண்ணன் இங்கே அன்பு அந்த அண்ணன் கொண்டு இங்கே அள்ளி வருகிறேன் அள்ளியே போரில்லை
we'd like to acknowledge Auntie Pat, who always does everything for everyone, Auntie Ramba and her family, Auntie Vasanti, who chairs the current Mother Sangam, Dharmi Vatyar, Auntie Lily for always ensuring that we have food, Auntie Kamala Kanyapan, Auntie Sitama, Auntie Kamala Kandyar, not forgetting my mum. We'd also like to acknowledge Taveshri and Umeshni for your role with our youth. Our administrator, Melody, who does more than what is required to ensure that the temple runs smoothly. Another acknowledgement is to Uncle Sila, who heads up the maintenance committee, and he was very busy this last few months ensuring that the temple is beautified and all the much needed maintenance is overseen. We acknowledge the Lingam family, Dr. Panji, Uncle Baki, Auntie Naraini, and Auntie Suri. And also a special mention to Prishalan, who plays tabla on a Sunday. Thank you very much, members. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very privileged today in that our keynote speaker is Justice Jody Kollapen. Justice Kollapen is the acting judge of the Constitutional Court of South Africa. He had previously served as the Commissioner of the South African Human Rights Commission. His memorable career has seen him work on important cases such as the Sharpeville 6, the Dalmas treason trial, and he also coordinated the Release Political Prisoners program at Lawyers for Human Rights. I now hand you over to Justice Jody Kollapen, who believes that judges should remain human and uphold human dignity.
Vanikam, and good morning to everybody. Thank you firstly for the invitation to be here. I really am honored and privileged to be here. And more so, having spent the last 2 to 3 hours here. I'm not sure about you, but I really feel a sense of pride when I watch the Bharatanatyam dancing, when I listen to Richard Naika and his group, and when I heard Guru Mari speak. Then the sense of pride is that I feel a connection to a culture, to a history, to a civilization that's ancient, but that fills one with pride because it's underpinned by such powerful values, by such deep teachings, by such beautiful music, and by such a rich culture. So even though we sit here today on the southern tip of the African continent, those links, those historic links, I suppose, lend richness and pride to all our lives. And today, I think, is a wonderful day where we should acknowledge that and take pride in who we are and acknowledge those who've made it possible for this vibrant culture, language, tradition to continue and to thrive as it does. Now, let me firstly congratulate the founders of this organization and those who make its vision possible. You celebrate 50 years, and 50 years is seminal. And I suppose organizations celebrate their longevity and people celebrate their longevity. But I'm not sure if it's always just worth celebrating one's longevity, because it's certainly possible to live for 50 years, and it's certainly possible to live for 100 years if you take the right medication and if you eat correctly. But I'd like to think that the value of one's life is not, or the value of an organization is not for how long it endures, but what it means in the lives of people and what it means in the lives of a community. And I read somewhere that life is not about the number of breaths we take, but it's about the moments in that life that take our breath away. And I think in any organization, that's also important. It's just not 50 years, but it's what 50 years has come to mean to the organization and the people who associate themselves with it. And in the few times that I have been here, I've found a community of people who genuinely, I wouldn't want to say they're religious, because I'm not religious in that sense of the word either, but they are spiritual. They recognize the humanity in each other, and they make common cause and, in a sense, organize their activities around that common belief, the belief of one God and one humanity. And that's what I find so attractive about an organization that perhaps at one level responds to the religious needs of its community, the cultural needs of its community, but more importantly, seeks to ensure that that leads to a sense of spirituality. Because it's often said that spirituality begins where religion ends. And for some, there's a connection between the two. And for others, there doesn't have to necessarily be a connection. For some, you can find spirituality even in the absence of religion. And I'm not suggesting that you try and do that. I recognize for many of you, religion is an important part of your spirituality. But one's relationship with God is very personal. I don't think it can be prescribed. And I read an interesting story the other day of a young boy who asked his father, how big is God? And he said to him, you see the plane flying up there? And the child said, but it's very small. And then he took him for a drive to the airport. And then he saw a plane and then says, but it's so massive. He says, well, that's God. The size of God depends on your closeness to God. The further you're away from God, the smaller will God be in your life. And the closer you are to God, the larger will God be in your life. And so I thought I'd say a few things, because 50 years, like I say, is important. And maybe it's nice just to step back and to try and picture what the world was like 50 years ago. That was 1967. Internationally, the Americans were fighting the Viet Cong in the Vietnam War. 50 years later, the Americans are still fighting everybody that they can come across. The Afghans, the Turks. So sometimes things change and sometimes they stay the same. Interestingly, for those of you who love music, Elvis Presley got married in that year to Priscilla Below. Also, the movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, starring Sidney Poitier, was released in that year. And on the Indian subcontinent, Dr. Zakir Hussain became the first Muslim president of India. And for those of you who are Beatles fans, the Beatles released the Sgt. Pepper's album. And so I suppose for some of you who are slightly older than me, it brings back wonderful memories of a time long gone by. In South Africa, the country was going through difficult times. The apartheid regime was as strong as ever. The Terrorism Act was passed in 1967. 1967 also saw John Foster as our first president continue after the assassination of Hendrik Verwoerd the year before. And interestingly, Chief Albert Luthuli, president of the ANC, died in July of that year. And in December of 1967, Professor Chris Barnard performed the first open heart surgery. So that was 1967, just in a snapshot. And I suppose it's wonderful looking back to think that 50 years later, we now live and celebrate living in a democratic society with all the insecurities and with all the challenges. I'm sure you would agree that it's a remarkably better place now than it was ever. And I can't associate myself with any view that suggests that life under apartheid South Africa was any better. I cannot ever condone the indignity that was visited upon my parents, your parents, the indignity that was visited upon our communities, the manner in which we were treated as third-class citizens. No right-thinking person can ever suggest that that system somehow was able to produce something positive. And so, let me just have a sip of water. Let me talk a bit about the organization and the remarkable achievements it has made in those years. And I was privileged to have a peek preview of the brochure that you intend publishing. And it's remarkable, as Guru said, how a vision can simply remain a vision, but can only be converted into reality when people who are committed and who have a conviction to do so put their hearts and minds to it. And I think this organization is about that. It's about uniting people around a common vision. And the whole concept of Saivism, of which I know too little, suggests to me, though, that it's about one God and one humanity. And I'm very attracted to that, because in my previous job, I was the chairman of the Human Rights Commission. And I would often speak about a culture of human rights that recognizes the universality of humanity. And people said, well, where did that come from? And I said, well, it comes from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted in 1948. But I think I was wrong, because I think it comes from this culture of Saivism that you've spoken about. The idea of one humanity surely is the idea that pervades all cultures and understandings of human rights. So when I next speak, I will correct that, because I think it's important. And I don't think we should feel that we should take pride in that origin. And sometimes, you know, as a community, we sit back and we let others take the credit and let others take pride. I think we should be proud about who we are and what we've achieved, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, having said that, this organization, in the work it does, is an organization for the entire community, and that's the message I've heard. At the one level, it also responds to the cultural, the religious, and the linguistic needs of its distinct community. And that's also important, and that's not irreconcilable. And I think the manner in which religion remains important, and for many, you know, religion is part of a structure of their life. It's part of the process that gives them focus, and it's part of the stepping stone to spirituality, which I think is recognizing the divinity in each of us, and recognizing the divinity in everybody else, and making that important human connection. And I've certainly found that human connection in my interaction with members of the Saby. Maybe I've just been lucky that I've been exposed to a particular group of members, and I don't want to suggest that everybody is that way. But certainly when I look at you interacting with each other, and I did that downstairs this morning, and I did that on previous occasions, that pervading idea that you recognize and you respect everybody is so powerful. It's more powerful than anything else that you can do. And I think as human beings, that's what we want at the base, at the end of the day. We want to be recognized for who we are, and we want to be respected for who we are. And so I'd like to acknowledge you for that kind of role you play, and I'd like to wish you well as you move forward. But our journey started some time ago. And for many, it's 1860. Although I have read literature that suggests that thousands of years ago, Dravidian seafarers came across the ocean to trade in Africa, and some of the gold mining operations that we see today in Zimbabwe and other parts of Africa were in part linked to the Dravidian seafarers. There's a chap that's, I think, Professor Romnick, who's written on that, and I found that quite fascinating. But 1860 was also seminal for us, because that's the year in which the Truro came from what is now called Chennai, but was Madras, across a treacherous journey, a 45-day journey, and brought the first indentured laborers, to whom many of us can make our connection to. And I think we should just stop and reflect when we celebrate our achievements today, what it must have been like for them. You know, they were subjected to stringent medical tests before they left India. They were promised a better life, but the conditions here were difficult. They worked for 9 hours a day from sunrise to sunset. They were paid something like 12 shillings per month. And they received a ration, and you'll be interested to know what the monthly ration was. It was 1.5 pounds of rice per day, but then for each month, 2 pounds of dal, 2 pounds of salt, a pound of ghee, and what was it? 2 pounds of salt fish. And that was their diet. So under those conditions, they persevered. And in persevering, they made a choice. And I think the two choices they make resonate in our lives today. The first choice they made was the choice to make South Africa their home. They had the choice of going back after their 5 years of contract had ended. They could extend it for a further 5 years, and then they could either go back to India or to stay in South Africa. They made the choice to stay, and that choice has consequence for us today. We are here because of that choice. But the second choice they made was to recognize the importance of education, culture, language, and religion, and began establishing such institutions. And it's wonderful that those institutions continue to thrive today. as we see this morning. So I think it's important to recognize and to pay tribute to our ancestors. They must have been a remarkable group of men and women who, under the most difficult of circumstances, were able to persevere, to show resilience, and to bequeath to us as it is today a wonderful legacy, a legacy of humanity, a legacy of culture, a legacy of a wonderful, deep and ancient language. And for that, I think we owe them a debt of gratitude. But 160 years down the line, and we may want to ask ourselves, well, who are we today? And where do we fit into the bewildering diversity that is South Africa of 2017? And we often ask ourselves these questions: how do we define ourselves? Am I an Indian South African? Am I a South African of Indian origin? I'm not sure. You can define yourself in any way you want to. I want to give you an example of how I experienced that. And I've been to India on a few occasions, and more recently in May this year. And in May this year, my wife and I went to Kanchipuram. We went to Mahabalipuram as well. It was wonderful. It was wonderful seeing the Pallava temples built in the 7th century BC. It was wonderful seeing and interacting people who looked like me, who spoke a language that I should speak, but embarrassingly I don't yet, who listened to music that I listened to, and who culturally were so very much like me. And I said, wow, this is like home. But I also recognized that this was not home, because home was somewhere else. And that, I think, is important for me. When the pilot said, welcome to our Tambo airport, I knew instinctively that I was home. And I think that's the challenge many of us face. We're part of a community that has its distinct culture, its language, its identity. And yet, that distinctiveness doesn't separate us or allow us to dissociate from the rest of society. We remain a part of the bigger society. And when I listened to the national anthem being sung this morning in Tamil, it was a powerful symbol of, in a sense, that connectiveness, that pride in one's language, but the recognition that you could sing the national anthem in Tamil in a united and diverse South Africa. And for me, that's the challenge we face about identity, about its retention, but also about its extension. And I think you've demonstrated today how we actually do that and how we are able to do it quite successfully as South Africans. But we face difficult challenges in our time. And this community have always been involved in the struggle for freedom and justice. And no one can ever dispute that. My mum, who's 91 years old today, was arrested during the 1946 passive resistance campaign and imprisoned. She marched with 20,000 South African women in 1956 to the Union buildings. And she took me along in her stomach. She was pregnant at the time. And there are so many people that one can recognize as having made the ultimate sacrifice for freedom and liberation. One thinks of Dr. Yusuf Dadu, Dr. Monty Naika. You think of the Naidu family. You think locally of Reggie Vandiar, Isu Chiba. And I think the important thing is that what they did wasn't to advance necessarily the Tamil community, the Indian community. They did it for all of humanity. Just as Nelson Mandela sacrificed 27 years of his life for all of South Africa. And so while on the one hand it's tempting for us to want to claim them as ours, they don't belong to us. They belong to all of South Africa. And I think that's the manner in which we must attempt to live our lives. We are not asked to give up those features of our life that make us uniquely who we are. And that's our culture and our religion and our language and our identity that is unique. But despite that, we still are part of a bigger society. And that connection to that society is so absolutely vital and has been vital for the success of just this generation, just as it will be vital to the success of future generations. So in closing, I'd like to think that for the next 50 years, the Saby will continue its powerful and resonating message that we can all and must all live our lives in truth. That we recognize, notwithstanding our differences, we are part of a common humanity. And our former President Thabo Mbeki captured that very eloquently when he addressed Parliament in the late 90s. He said, we are a nation of ancient customs, languages, religions, and traditions. But we are bound together by a million visible and invisible threads from which none of us can escape, because together we are human, together we are African, and together we are South African. And I think that powerful message that resonates in your work about living a life of meaning, a life of purpose, a life underpinned by at least a moral and an ethical framework, recognizing the religious and spiritual teachings that you advance of one God and one humanity, serves not only you well, but can serve all of South Africa well. In a time of strife and it's a time of conflict, it's a message, I think, that has value for everybody. And so, once again, it's been wonderful being here today. I know the speeches and the dancing is much more entertaining than listening, the singing than listening to a speech. Sorry, that was a Freudian slip. And I do wish you well. And just in closing, let me say, at a very personal level, what I found, and there's something in my life that makes the connection as well. My dad grew up in a very different cultural and religious tradition, but he was always attracted to Saivism. And before he died 6 years ago, he said that when he died, he wanted to be buried in the tradition of Saivism. And we asked Guru Mari if he will perform the burial, which he did. And it was a most dignifying, beautiful experience. And I'm not suggesting others are not, but we're always indebted to you for that. And for, in a sense, fulfilling man's last wish. So there's also a personal connection at that level. And thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
We now hand you over to the Tri School of Dance. It's for another Bharatanatyam classical dance item.
This dance will be performed by Tameshni Allen and Dishanya Naidu, Chatisvaram, Ragam Vasanta, Talam Rupakam.
திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். ஆடிக்கொண்ட வேடிக்கை காண ஆயிரம் வேண்டாமோ, ஆடிக்கொண்டார் அந்த வேடிக்கை காண ஆயிரம் வேண்டாமோ, ஆடிக்கொண்டார் அந்த வேடிக்கை காண ஆயிரம் வேண்டாமோ, நாடி துதிப்பவர் அங்கில் உரைப்பவர், நாடி துதிப்பவர் அங்கில் உரைப்பவர், நம்பும் திருச்செம்பொன் நம்பலவான், நம்பும் திருச்செம்பொன் நம்பலவான், ஆடிக்கொண்டார் அந்த வேடிக்கை காண ஆயிரம் வேண்டாமோ, ஆடிக்கொண்டார் அந்த வேடிக்கை காண ஆயிரம் வேண்டாமோ. ஆரணவமணி மாலைகளாட, ஆரணவமணி மாலைகளாட, ஆடும் மரபும் படமெடுத்தாட, ஆரணவமணி மாலைகளாட, ஆடும் மரபும் படமெடுத்தாட, சீரமை கொன்றை மணல் துடையாட, சிதம்பர தேராட, ஆரணவமணி மாலைகளாட, ஆடும் மரபும் படமெடுத்தாட, சீரமை கொன்றை மணல் துடையாட, சிதம்பர தேராட, பேரணி வேற்றிய தில்லை 3000 பேர்களும் பூஜித்துக் கொண்டு நின்றாட, பேரணி வேற்றிய தில்லை 3000 பேர்களும் பூஜித்துக் கொண்டு நின்றாட, காரணை காலை அடுத்து நின்றாட, காரணை காலை அடுத்து நின்றாட, காரணை காலை அடுத்து நின்றாட, கனக சபை தனிலே ஆடிக்கொண்டார் அந்த வேடிக்கை காண ஆயிரம் வேண்டாமோ, ஆடிக்கொண்டார் அந்த வேடிக்கை காண ஆயிரம் வேண்டாமோ,
Ladies and gentlemen, I know Vina said that was the last bit of acknowledgements, but one quick one. We'd like to acknowledge our Tamil teacher, Auntie Vani, Uncle Archie and Auntie Bibi, Uncle Vaiti. Thank you very much for your contribution to the Sabay. We have received a message of apology from Mr. Sathya Pillay, who's a trustee of the TFG. Unfortunately, he is ill, but he sent his well wishes and congratulations to the Sabay on this milestone. So we've come now to the last item on our program, and I know that you are going to enjoy this. I now hand you back to Tirun Richard Naika and group, who will entertain you with about 3 more songs, and then we will have the closing prayer, and then you can have lunch. Thank you.
Respected elders, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, loving children, I'll be failing in my duty if I don't give a special thank you for our dear brother, Mr. Desiga Mudli and his family. It's through him that we are here today, and the members and the officials. A very big thank you to you. Many of you seated here are Murugan Bhaktins as well, Murugan devotees. And there was a special request from the audience. Mr. Kollapen, Judge Kollapen asked me to sing a Murugan song as well. And in loving memory of our Kollapen, we're going to sing Nambangal Murugan Nallavan, Nammai Nadi Vande Anbu Seibavan Aandu Kolvavan. ஓராறு முகமும் ஈராறு கரமும் தீராத வினை தன்னை தீர்க்கும் துன்பம் வாராது நிலை தன்னை சேர்க்கும் ஈராறு கரவும் தீராத நிலை தன்னை தீர்க்கும் துன்பம் வராத நிலை தன்னை சேர்க்கும் ஐயன் முருகன் பன்னிரு கயிறு ஆறுமுகத்துடனே அருள் என்று ஒளியுடனே நம்மை காப்பாற்றுவதற்கு என்றுமே இருக்கின்றார். அவரை நம் அனுதினமும் போற்றி பணிந்தால் நம்முடைய வினைகள் எல்லாம் தீரும். தூய்மையான உடம்புடனே வியாதி இல்லாமே சுகமா வாழலாம். ஆண்டவனுடைய அனுகிரகம் மட்டும் இருந்தால் போதும். என் ஐயன் முருகனுக்கு கருணை செய்தவது வேறொன்றும் தெரியாது. முருகனை நம்பி அவர்கள் யாருமே கெட்டது கிடையாது. அவரோட அருள் நமக்கு இருக்குமானால் உலகமே நம்மை கொண்டாடும். நமக்கு யாருமே விரோதிகள் இருக்க மாட்டார்கள். நம்மை சார்ந்தவர்களெல்லாம் நம்மை நல்லவன் நல்லவன் என்று சொல்லுவார்கள். அதற்கு அவரோட அருள் தான் முக்கியமாக தேவை. நம்மை நாடி வந்து அது செய்வன் ஆண்டு கொள்பவன் அவனே நம்புங்கள் முருகன்
Boys and girls, loving children, in the eyes of God, we are all children. நான் ஒரு குழந்தை, நீ ஒரு குழந்தை. This is MG's song. நான் ஒரு குழந்தை, நீ ஒரு குழந்தை, ஒருவர் மடியிலே ஒருவர் நீ. நான் ஒரு மேனி, பொழுதொரு வண்ணம், ஒருவர் மனதிலே ஒருவர் நீ. நான் ஒரு குழந்தை, நீ ஒரு குழந்தை, படியிலே ஒருவர் நீ. நான் ஒரு மேனி, பொழுதொரு வண்ணம், ஒருவர் மனதிலே ஒருவர் நீ. நான் ஒரு குழந்தை, நீ ஒரு குழந்தை, ஒருவர் மடியிலே ஒருவர் நீ. நான் ஒரு மேனி, பொழுதொரு வண்ணம், ஒருவர் மனதிலே ஒருவர் நீ. தாயன் பாட்டுக்குள்ளே அவளை கொடியவா சிந்தாமணியவா மடிலே கடியவா மந்தியாதிவா நான் ஒரு குழந்தை நீ ஒரு குழந்தை முருகனடியே முருகனடியே நான் ஒரு நீர் முழுவொருவன் ஒருவர் மனதிலே ஒருவரே. A special request from Mr. Desika Murli, Palum Padu. பாலும் பழமும் கைகளிலேந்தி பவளவாயில் புன்னகை செந்தி கோலமயில் போல் நீ வருவாயே கொஞ்சம் கிளியே அமைதி கொள்வாயே பாலும் பழமும் கைகளிலேந்தி பவளவாயில் புன்னகை செந்தி மயில் போல் நீ வருவாயே கொஞ்சம் கிளியே அமைதி கொள்வாயே முன்னும் அழகை பார்த்திருப்பாயே உறங்க வைத்தே விழித்திருப்பாயே முன்னும் அழகை பார்த்திருப்பாயே உறங்க வைத்தே விழித்திருப்பாயே கண்ணை இமை போல் காத்திருப்பாயே காதல் கொடியே கண்மலராயே பாலும் பழமும் கையிலேந்தி பவளவாயில் கொண்டது சிந்தி ஊரமயில் போல் நீ வருவாயே கொஞ்சம் கிளியே அமைதி கொள்வாயே பிஞ்சின் முகத்தின் ஒளி இழந்தாயே பேசி பழகும் மொழி மறந்தாயே பிஞ்சின் முகத்தின் ஒளி இழந்தாயே பேசி பழகும் மொழி மறந்தாயே அஞ்சி நடக்கும் நடுங்குகின்றாயே அந்த கொடியே அமைதி கொள்வாயே பழகும் கையிலேந்தி பவளவாயில் கொண்டது சிந்தி கோலமயில் போல் நீ வருவாயே கொஞ்சம் கிளியே அமைதி கொள்வாயே ஈன்ற தாயை நான் கண்ட தெய்வம் எனது தெய்வம் வேறெங்கும் இல்லை ஈன்ற தாயை நான் கண்ட தெய்வம் எனது தெய்வம் வேறெங்கும் இல்லை உயிரை கொடுக்கும் உன்னை நான் காப்பேன் உதயினதே கண்குயில்வாயே பாலம் பழமும் கைகளிலேந்தி பவளவாயே கொண்டது சிந்தி ஊரமயில் போல் நீ வருவாய் தாயே கொஞ்சம் கிளியே அமைதி கொள்வாயே லா 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 தேவன் கோவில் மணி ஓசை நல்ல செய்திகள் சொல்லும் மணி ஓசை பாவிகள் மீதும் ஆண்டவன் காட்டும் பாவிகள் மீதும் ஆண்டவன் காட்டும் பாசத்தின் ஓசை மணி ஓசை தேவன் கோவில் மணி ஓசை நல்ல சேவைகள் சொல்லும் மணி ஓசை தேவன் கோவில் மணி ஓசை நல்ல சேவைகள் சொல்லும் மணி ஓசை பாவிகள் மீதும் ஆண்டவன் காட்டும் பாவிகள் மீதும் ஆண்டவன் காட்டும் பாசத்தின் ஓசை மணி ஓசை தேவன் கோவில் மணி ஓசை நல்ல சேவைகள் சொல்லும் மணி ஓசை அருமை மகளே என்றொரு வார்த்தை வணங்கும் கோவில் மணி ஓசை அருமை மகளே என்றொரு வார்த்தை வணங்கும் கோவில் மணி ஓசை அண்ணா என்னோர் குரல் அப்பா அப்பா என்னோர் குரல் அடங்கம் கோவில் மணி ஓசை இது ஆசை கிழவன் குரலோசை அவன் அன்பினை காட்டும் மணி ஓசை இது ஆசை கிழவன் குரலோசை அவன் அன்பினை காட்டும் மணி ஓசை தேவன் கோவில் மணி ஓசை நல்ல செய்திகள் சொல்லும் மணி ஓசை பாவிகள் மீதும் ஆண்டவன் காட்டும் பாவிகள் மீதும் ஆண்டவன் காட்டும் பாசத்தின் ஓசை மணி ஓசை தேவன் கோவில் மணி சொல்லும் மணியோசை நல்ல சேதிகள் சொல்லும் மணியோசை நல்ல சேதிகள் சொல்லும் பாவாடை தாவணி பார்த்து உருவமாயிது பூவாடை வீசி பூத்த பருவமா பாவாடை தாவணியில் பார்த்து உருவமாயிது பூவாடை வீசி பூத்த பருவமா பாவாடை தாவணியில் பார்த்து உருவமா பாலாடை போன்று முகம் மாறியதே பனி போல நாடுவதே மூடியதேனோ பாலாடை போன்று முகம் மாறியதேனோ பனி போல நாடுவதே மூடியதேனோ பாவாடை நாவணியில் பார்த்து உருவமா வாவென்று கூறாமல் வருவதில்லையா காதல் தாவென்று கேளாமல் வருவதில்லையா வாவென்று கூறாமல் வருவதில்லையா காதல் தாவென்று கேளாமல் தருவதில்லையா சொல்லென்று சொல்லாமல் சொல்வதில்லையா இன்பம் சுவையாக சுவையாக வருவதில்லையா பாவாடை நாவணியில் பார்த்த உருவமா தட்டி தட்டி நடப்பதற்கு சொல்ல வேண்டுமா நீ முத்த முத்த சிரிப்பதற்கு பாரு வேண்டுமா தட்டி தட்டி நடப்பதற்கு சொல்ல வேண்டுமா நீ முத்த முத்த சிரிப்பதற்கு பாரு வேண்டுமா முத்த
Thank you, Richard Naika and Party. It's been beautiful. The music's been absolutely awesome. We're now going to do the closing prayer, and then lunch will be served. A very sumptuous lunch is going to be served. Please stay for our prayer. Bhatia will be doing that, and then we'll be singing the Bhajga Niranda thereafter. Nandri,
திருச்சிற்றம்பலம் வாழ்க அந்தன வானவராணினம் வீழ்க தன்புணல் வேந்தன மோங்குக ஆழ்க தீயதெல்லாம் அருநாமமே சூழ்க வையகம் துய தீர்க்கவே வையகம் துய தீர்க்கவே வையகம் துய தீர்க்கவே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். தென்னாட்டுடைய சிவனே போற்றி, எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். வாழ்க நிரந்தரம் வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி வாழிய வாழியவே. வாழ்க நிரந்தரம் வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி வாழிய வாழியவே. எங்கள் தமிழ் மொழி எங்கள் தமிழ் மொழி என்றிடும் வாழியவே. எங்கள் தமிழ் மொழி எங்கள் தமிழ் மொழி என்றிடும் வாழியவே. சூழ்கழி நீங்க தமிழ் மொழி ஓங்க துளங்ககு வையகமே. சூழ்கழி நீங்க தமிழ் மொழி ஓங்க துளங்ககு வையகமே. தொல்லை நிறைந்தது தொல்லை அகன்று சுடர்க தமிழ்நாடே. தொல்லை நிறைந்தது தொல்லை அகன்று சுடர்க தமிழ்நாடே. வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழியே. வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழியே. வானமடைந்து தனித்து மறந்து வளர்மொழி வாழியவே. வானமடைந்து தனித்து மறந்து வளர்மொழி வாழியவே. வாழ்க நிரந்தரம் வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி வாழிய வாழியவே. வாழ்க நிரந்தரம் வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி வாழிய வாழியவே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி.
Vanakkam, Anburiya Vanakkam, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Johannesburg Melrose Sri Siva Subramania Temple Committee and devotees, we take this opportunity of wishing the Siva Gnana Sabay a very happy 50th anniversary, and it was a fantastic function. And we wish you another 50 years. Nandri Vanakkam.
It's an honor being associated with the organization. I take this opportunity on behalf of my brothers and their families to wish the organization everything of the best and hope they go on for many, many years.
Vanakkam, congratulations to the Siva Gnana Sabay. Though I'm a member for 36 years, I think our organization has done exceptionally well as we practice one God, one humanity and one world. That is the saying of Tirumular in the Tirumandiram. And we should practice that and respect our fellow brothers wherever we go. And one important thing in our lives is charity, which we should all do for communities, irrespective of race, color or creed. Mikka Nandri, God bless all of you.
Vanakkam, thank you very much for inviting us here to this function. We wish you all the best and we hope to see you many, many years to follow. Thank you. God bless you.
This is the milestone for the Siva Gnana Sabay. 50 years is a long, long time for any organization to survive. Through all its trials and tribulations, Siva Gnana Sabay has done a magnificent job in the community, in assisting with the feeding schemes, making sure that there are many, many people on a weekly basis fed and they go to bed with stomachs that are full. And this is what the Sabay is all about. It's about the Wundre Kulam, Urvene Devam, and the Unbasivam, because God is love, and without love, there is nothing in this world. I wish Siva Gnana Sabay a continued success for the years to come. Thank you.
I want to take this opportunity of really saying to the Siva Gnana Sabay, your function today is a great one, and we hope that every other organization will be able to follow from what you guys do. 50 years is not easy to meet, but it's something very, very important for us in all our lives. We take this opportunity of thanking you and thanking all the officials of this organization who made this a collective function and a beautiful one to remember for years to come. We wish you everything best for the next another 50 years. Vanakkam.
Vanakkam. என் பேர் விஸ்வநாதன். I would like to wish the Siva Gnana Sabay happy birthday on this 50th celebrations. Would also like to thank them for the role they play in the community, for promoting and propagating the religion, language and culture, for keeping the culture alive. We're really proud of this association and its executives and members. Thank you very much.
Vanakkam, my name is Neela, and on behalf of the South African Tamil Federation, together with the families and the congregation, provincial presidents and all the affiliates, we want to wish the Siva Gnana Sabay heartiest congratulations on their 50th anniversary. We wish them great strength, and may they succeed for the next 50 years with great bhakti, strength, unity, and thank you very much.
Vanakkam, my name is Desiga Mudli. I'm a trustee of the Siva Gnana Sabay. I'd like to wish the Sabay all the best for the 50 years anniversary, and may they see many, many more. Thank you.
Vanakkam, my name is Diane Padiachi. I'd like to wish the Siva Gnana Sabay everything of the very best for their 50th anniversary. May they grow from strength to strength. And also to the temples, both the INR and Sivan Coils, all the best for their 31st anniversary this year. Thank you, Vanakkam.
Congratulations to the Siva Gnana Sabay, and in particular to Vatya. His vision 50 years ago was amazing. If you look at the things he's done, under the circumstances, the wealth of the Tamil people was extremely low. He managed to put together a group to put up a temple and the full movement. But more interestingly is that he dedicated the hall to the 1820 settlers. And I think for that we really have to admire Vatya for it. So congratulations to the Sabay, and in particular to Vatya, Spiritual Council and all the members. Thank you.
Vanakkam, dear members, and I think we did a magnificent job, and I think we had a good crowd, and it was a great success, and we continue to have the succession in our organization. Wish you all many more blissful years of serving. Nandri, Vanakkam.
Vanakkam to you. My name is Mari Pillai Ramya, the president of the South African Tamil Federation. Having attended this 50th anniversary of the Siva Gnana Sabay and the 31st anniversary of both the Sivan Coil as well as the INR Coil, it actually makes me very proud to be part of this renaissance, a renaissance that could only contribute to our propagation in terms of our culture, our religion, our language. What I've just seen and displayed today in terms of the commemoration is one of the greatest things. On behalf of the South African Tamil Federation, its affiliates, its executive, I want to convey my most profound thank you and appreciation for actually the members and the committee to extend an invitation to us in terms of this wonderful, magnificent remembrance of 50 years of the Siva Gnana Sabay.
Vanakkam to everybody. I just want to congratulate the Siva Gnana Sabay on their 50 years anniversary. We wish them well on behalf of the Tajevu Dance School. My name is Gani Ramsamy. Thank you very much. To the Siva Gnana Sabay, I wish them well, and I wish they carry on for many, many more years. Thank you very much. Vanakkam.
To the members and officials of the Siva Gnana Sabay, what a beautiful function, and hope and pray God sees them for the next 50 years and beyond. Thank you so much. Vanakkam.
Hi, this is Sammy Naidu. Congratulations to the Sabay on their 50 years of celebration. Okay, it's 50 years anniversary celebration, and we wish them a blessed day today and everything of the best moving forward from here onwards. Thank you.
On behalf of the Executive Committee, the Spiritual Head and the Trustees, we wish the Siva Gnana Sabay and the INR Temple all the best with the 50th celebration of the existence of the Siva Gnana Sabay and the 31 years of existence of both of the temples. From us, we wish that they continue with the sterling work and the service that they continue to contribute to the community. Everything of the best. Thank
My
you.
name is Jody Naidu. Wishing the Siva Gnana Sabay a happy 50th anniversary and wishing them everything of the best for the future and wishing that we see another 50 years of such a celebration. Thank you.
My name is Priola and I would like to wish the members of the Siva Gnana Sabay a happy anniversary.
I'd like to wish the Siva Gnana Sabay a very successful 50th anniversary. To be 50 years old, and I'm 86 years old, so it shows how long these people have been in existence. Siva Gnana Sabay is a Sakti organization. Thank you very much.
Well, I think celebrating 50 years is an honor and a privilege for any organization, but particularly for this organization, because in the manner in which they've distinguished themselves in the lives of the community. They've just not responded to the religious needs of the community, they've responded to the social needs of the community, but importantly, they've advanced the spirituality of the community, the recognition that love is God, God is love, there's one humanity and there's one God. And I think in the kind of world we live in today, in particular in South Africa as well, amongst the division, amongst the conflict, the message of this organization can be a message to all communities in our country and all people in our country. So I think I'm very proud to be part of today's celebrations, and we wish them every success in the future in their endeavors.